Hello everyone, it's Valerie from Stampin' with Valerie, and today we are going to be making a super adorable paper cone project that you can use as a little Halloween treat holder for those special trick-or-treaters in your life or for party favors, whatever you want to use them for. So I've got two stamp sets here. We are going to be using the Banner Year stamp set. We are going to be using the October 31st stamp out of the Festive Post stamp set. So I'm gonna set those aside and we're gonna get started. Now, first thing you're gonna need, now you can do it on your self-sealing mat as well, but I'm gonna put a piece of chipboard down. This comes sometimes in your designer series paper. Sometimes they're thicker, sometimes they're thinner. This is a thicker one. And I'm going to be using some of the Magic in This Night designer series paper. So the first thing we are going to want to do is take this 12 by 12 sheet and cut it in half diagonally. Now, you can't fit it in your paper trimmer at 12 by 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out the big guns. I've got a yardstick, and this one is metal, and I'm going to start on each corner, and I have an X-Acto knife. And so be very careful if you're doing this. Just start at one end, cut all the way to the other end. Try not to lift your blade up so you don't forget where you've started cutting. So now you have two equal triangles. Now, the fantastic thing about these cones that I'm going to show you how to make is you can do them with any size square paper. You can do it 10 by 10, 8 by 8, 14 by 14, whatever you want. Obviously, the bigger the square, the bigger the cone that you're going to be able to make. So we're only going to need one of these. Actually, let's just leave this here for now. Well, no, I don't think we need that. We're only going to need one of these. And I want this gorgeous floral to be the outside of my cone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one corner, and I'm going to lay it this way so you can see exactly what I'm doing. You're going to turn it and fold this up. So now this point is going to be up here with this point, okay? So that's the first thing you want to do. Now that I know that this is going to be the back, this is going to come around, I'm going to add some tear and tape on this side. Now, I'm not going to do the full length. I'm just going to do it in smaller strips. So just put a few little strips on here because this is almost like you're double layering when you're using this method that I'm showing you. Now, this method I learned when I went to school to study baking and pastry, because this is how we folded our pastry bags when we were getting ready to pipe things. Now I know I'm going to want a piece of tear and tape on this side as well. So I'm just going to cut a little piece off, and I'm going to put it right up here on this piece. And now whatever hangs off that edge, just go ahead and cut it. Now I'm going to lay it back that same way. So if you have your triangle laying facing you, put some small strips over here, put one strip on this corner, okay? So first, fold this up. Don't take that tear and tape off yet. Just fold it up and hold it, because now that you've seen which way to fold it, you're going to be holding this. You're going to bring this side around. Now, what you want eventually is for both of these, so kind of let go of that, both of these edges to meet right here at the top. So kind of play around with it. And look, I even put that on the wrong side. I already put my, I'm so goofy. I already put my tear and tape on the wrong side. I didn't want it on this side. I wanted it on this side. So guess what? We're going to add some tear and tape on that side now, because we're not starting over. We're not going to waste what we've already got cut. So put a couple strips on this side instead. And just pretend those ones aren't there. After I got it all the way folded up, I looked at it and I was like, that's not right. You can tell I haven't used a lot of tape when I've made these before because I've just always stapled them at the top, but I wanted to do it a little bit different this time. All right, so now you have that folded in. You've got this corner at the top. Fold this back around. You're gonna push this inner one down and you're gonna pull this back one up. And what that is going to do is going to make a nice tight cone. And when I say tight, you've got a point at the end, right? So now hold it together, fold this one back and just take that piece off the end. So you're still holding it tight with your hands. Now, and this is a little difficult. If you have trouble gripping things, you may need some help with this. Stick that right there. Now this one's gonna stay until we're ready to stick it. Now that we've got those pieces on the correct side, take your pick tool, peel those pieces of backing off that tear and tape that's on those little layers there, or on that inside section. And if you can't get a hold of them with your fingers, use a pair of pair of tweezers. I had my scissors next to my tweezers and I was thinking scissors, but wanting to say tweezers, so you know, twizzers. Lord, it's one of those days, everyone. Okay. Now, we don't really need to worry about these pieces of tear and tape right here that are on the side. And I'm not going to peel those off because if I do, I'm going to have a little bit of extra sticky and no one's going to know that we made that mistake anyway. So I'm going to leave those there. Peel this one just to stick this part down. Now look, you can barely see where that tear and tape was. And if no one knew we did that, they wouldn't even know that we accidentally put that there. All right, so there's your cone. How gorgeous is that? You've got that gorgeous spider web medallions. I would actually call those mandalas on the inside, and then you've got the gorgeous floral on the outside. So now we're gonna make a little tag to go on that. We're gonna use some of, let me find a piece that I want that's going the right way. I want with my little medallions on this to go this way. So this is some more of the Magic in This Night Designer Series paper. We're going to use a little bit of Whisper White. And we are going to punch with the Essential Tag Punch. Love this punch. Now this punch is one of the new ones that is in the mini catalog. So it's available right now. So this is a fantastic one to get because look at how those tags punch out. They're gorgeous. So we are going to use some different inks here. Let me get these pieces out of the way. And we're gonna do definitely some sponging. We're gonna use some Blackberry Bliss, some Memento, Cajun Craze, and probably Pretty Peacock. Now to start, I'm gonna go ahead and sponge around this with some Memento because I want it to have a really dark edge around it. Now, you can make it as thick or as thin as you want around the edge just by going in further with your sponge dauber or your Stampin' Sponge, whatever you are using to sponge with. Now, the wonderful thing about sponging around the edges is it just gives it a little bit of extra dimension too. So look how different that looks compared to if I just stamp or punch another one and set it next to it. You can kind of see the difference. It just kind of makes it look a little bit nicer, I think, when it comes to these little tags. Now around this tag, I'm going to do Blackberry Bliss. I don't know why I'm closing inks, probably just so I don't stick my fingers in them, but I want to make sure I keep my sponge daubers next to the ones that go with the ink so I don't accidentally dip it in the wrong ink and ruin an ink pad, because that would be tragic. We do not want to do that. All right, so we've got some Blackberry Bliss around that one. We're going to take the Pretty Peacock and we're going to stamp on a scrap piece of Whisper White. We'll use that same piece of Whisper White that we just punched out of. And I'm going to stamp Boo in Pretty Peacock. And then we're just going to cut that out. So this project takes a little while, and as long as you get your tear and tape right on your paper cone, it shouldn't be a problem. And it's definitely a practice skill to roll your paper and get it the right way, but it's not difficult to learn. So you should be able to have that mastered in no time. Practice with copy paper first. I wouldn't start directly out with this thicker designer series paper. I would definitely start with a thinner paper first. That's not what I want. I want Cajun Craze. We're gonna stamp a Treat So Sweet in Cajun Craze. And then we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna cut that out just like we did with Boo. And I'm trying to find my scissors that I just set down that I just used. And then we're gonna sponge around these sentiments as well. Now, because I don't want to get ink as much, well, I say I don't want to get ink on my fingers. I already have ink on my fingers, but I don't want to get too much ink on my fingers. We're going to use these tweezers, and I used them in a video the other day for something, and I've been using them ever since for almost everything. All right, so I'm going to sponge Cajun Craze around Boo, and because this is so tiny, I'm going to do one side, and then the left and right. Then I'm going to use these tweezers to hold on to it to do that last side, just because that ink is still wet, and that way I won't get it on my fingers. Thought that was pretty brilliant. Good job, Val. All right, now we'll take, as I compliment myself, Pretty Peacock, and we'll go around the edge of this sentiment. Now, these sentiments don't have to be perfectly cut. Like this one's kind of on a little bit of an angle. That's okay, doesn't matter, because it's just for this cute little treat thing, and it's kind of cute when they look a little bit wonky. You can see it's a little bit wonky, but I think it's still pretty. All right, we'll put that sponge right there, move the Cajun Craze out of the way. Then we'll go ahead and start stamping our tag. Now we're gonna put a pumpkin on our tag. We're gonna put a bat, and we're gonna put a spider web. And now this is just the little stem for the pumpkin. So we'll ink our pumpkin up with Cajun Craze, and these are all from the Banner Year stamp set. So these all come in that stamp set. Get our cute little pumpkin on there. Then we'll use some Mossy Meadow for that stem and leaf that go to the pumpkin. The spider web, we'll use Memento for the spider web. And then we're gonna use some Blackberry Bliss for our bat. We're gonna have a nice, pretty Blackberry Bliss bat on here. This bat is so cute. He's got a little smile on his face. Perfect for the little kiddos. So it's not a scary treat bag, it's a fun treat bag. So once you have that together, you can either use glue or some Stampin' Seal or whatever tape runner you have, and just put a little bit on the corner of that Pretty Peacock tag. And then just kind of layer them so they're stuck together. We're gonna add some dimensionals on the back of these. And because we are doing Halloween projects and we've got darker papers and different things, we're gonna use some of the black dimensionals. If you haven't bought the black dimensionals, you need some black dimensionals because they are perfect for these projects. Now, I'm gonna actually put my dimensionals right on here so I know exactly how far to go on my pieces of paper. Now, if I would have just stuck them on my paper, if I would have went too far this way, I would have had dimensionals hanging off from the sheet of paper, and I don't want that. So we've got Boo is going to be at the top. A Treat So Sweet is going to be right here on the bottom, or the left bottom corner. And we've got Boo. We are going to attach that to the front of our cone, and we're going to use some more dimensionals. Now, I'm just going to kind of look at it and center according to where the point is, but I'm going to be obviously on the front of the cone. Now, you could use bigger dimensionals, but because this is rounded, the smaller dimensionals seem to work much better for this. And I'm just going to put 3, it looks like little buttons going down the front of this cone. Just going to add our little tag right on the front. And then we are going to punch a hole with my hole punch here. Go down just a little ways. You don't want it too close to the top. Go down just a little ways. And then we are going to use some of this gorgeous glittered organdy ribbon. Now, I'm going to measure out about, I'm going to say about 20 inches, maybe actually 24. Let's do 24 because I'm going to show you another one that I made earlier, another paper cone in just a few minutes. And I only used 18 inches of ribbon on that, and it just wasn't quite enough. So you're going to take your ribbon, fold it in half, because you're going to want a loop at the top. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie a knot here. So you'll have a loop at the top for hanging. Now, if you're going to be hanging this on a doorknob, you're going to need much more ribbon. But if you have a little hook or something that you're going to hang it on, this will be plenty of ribbon. And now, of course, I'm kicking myself in the butt for not getting the silver mesh ribbon, because it would have been so perfect for a big bow at the top of this project. But I do love this ribbon, so I'm not going to complain too much. All right, so now you have a bow, or I'm sorry, a loop. Look at all that glitter coming off that right now from me tying that. Kind of pinch the ends of your ribbon together, push them through that hole, and that knot will stop them. So make sure you don't have a super large hole punch. This is not a super big hole punch. If I would have used one size bigger, my knot would have come right through. So now we're just going to tie a bow right here. It's not as easy tying it right here as it is if I have this sitting in my lap, so I apologize if it's a little wonky, but I'm gonna do my best. Not too bad, actually, pretty good. Now, if I would have had that silver mesh ribbon, it definitely would have been a much bigger statement, which, like I said, kicking myself in the butt for not getting that ribbon yet, but that's okay. This is still pretty gorgeous. Now I'm going to trim these edges just so we have that little angle at the edge of every. So now here, of course there we go. Now, so that's the top. Now for the inside of this, we are going to stamp some tissue paper. Now, when you get I just had some tissue paper and I just cut it into little squares. These are probably about 8 by 8. I didn't really measure them, maybe a little bit bigger. About 9 1/4 by 9 1/4 approximately. One side is a little bit shiny, one side is not. I stamped on the side that is not shiny because it will dry faster. So I'm going to set my cone off to the side. We're just going to grab some of these stamps that we've already used. We're going to stamp some spider webs in Memento, and you can stamp some off the edges if you want. Whatever you want to do for your I don't want to stamp it on my info up there. Then I also stamped some of this October 31st. And now I'm going to stamp that in the Cajun Craze. And just stamp a few, however many you want on your paper. Then I also stamped some of the cute little bats in Blackberry Bliss. And now this is going to need a little bit to dry, so I have another piece of it. Let me grab that piece. And so the finished piece, once you get it done, kind of looks like this because you kind of go a little more all over. I added the boo as well for this. So take your piece of tissue paper, and obviously this is the back because your October 31st and your boo are backwards. Just kind of put your finger in the middle. Just kind of fold those little edges up. So you have kind of a little triangle of tissue paper. You're gonna put that down in your cone. Look how cute that is. Get that down in your cone, and then you can add treats. Obviously, don't shove your paper all the way down in there like I just did. You can add your own treats. You can add like little Hershey Kisses. You can add larger candy bars, whatever you want to add into it. And then you have this gorgeous little paper cone to give to someone. Now, if you want to embellish it a little bit more, add some of the iridescent pearls. These are so pretty. I'm going to put one right in the center there. They are two different sizes. I thought they were all one size until my friend pointed it out that no, they're two different sizes. They're just very close in size. These are the bigger ones, and then you have a bunch of smaller ones. Now you can also add rhinestones or more ribbon, more bows, whatever you want on yours. But this is what I did with mine. Now this one is for the kiddos, and I kind of made an adult version earlier, and I'm going to show you that one right now. And you'll see that my bow is not as big on this one. And I did a little bit different. I used the same Designer Series paper pack. I used a different print. This has that, I don't even know what it's called, print. That diamond print, and it's got the spiders on the inside. So I just did spider webs on the paper. I cut out a couple of bats. I sponged them with Blackberry Bliss and Pretty Peacock. So it's just a little bit different, something fun that you can use for Halloween parties, little trick-or-treaters, for teachers, whatever you want to do. But I hope you enjoyed this little video. I hope you will make some gorgeous, I'm going to set this here so they don't roll away, some gorgeous little paper cones of your own. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Bye.